Good morning, traders. I am Emily Vani, the CEO of the Investment Banking Institute and your host here at NewsWare's Trade Talk. Joining me is trading anchor Bill Olson, who brings more than 30 years of institutional trading experience to our program. At Trade Talk, we provide the facts, themes, and trading ideas for the day ahead. Today is Monday, July 14th. Weekend announcements about more tariffs have markets on cautious footing this morning. This after stocks ended lower on Friday. All three major indices did close in the red. The Dow shed 279 points, or 0.63%. The S&P 500 lost 20 points, or 0.33%. The Nasdaq gave up 25 points, or about 0.25%. Bill, let's get into a new week and Monday's action with what is happening in the markets this morning.
Yes, good morning, Emily. I'm watching the S&Ps. We're down 0.27%, about 0.3%. Yeah, it's really due to the announcement over the weekend from the White House on tariffs. President Trump indicated that it's his intention to impose 30% tariffs on Mexico and on the EU starting August 1st. He did throw out some caveats on ways they could avoid these tariffs, but this is his plan as of this past weekend. Today, he's going to be meeting with the Secretary General of NATO. He's expected to make a major announcement on Russia today. This could be sanctions. This could be, more weapons to NATO for, earmarked for Ukraine. We'll have to wait and see. This week is crypto week. Congress is set to vote on a series of bills, crypto-related bills this week. Keep an eye on that. Boeing shares are trading higher. I mean, they're up 1.45%. When it came out over the weekend that Air India's investigation, it was all on the fuel switch hubs. These fuel switch hubs are spring locked. It's pilot error, essentially, is what they're saying. And with that, that takes out a stumbling block for that stock to move higher. And sure enough, it is showing gains this morning. No major economic announcements are due out today, but tomorrow you get that CPI report, which is widely anticipated. On the earnings front, Fastenal, FAST, they came out with a good earnings report this morning. Tomorrow we got earnings report from Albertsons, State Street, Bank of New York, Citibank, BlackRock, Wells Fargo, and JP Morgan. They're all scheduled to report. Turning our page and taking a look at what's going on in Europe. You got the DAX down 0.98% or 238 points. Ooh, that's a lot. That's the highest I've seen. That's the lowest I've seen today. You got weakness in autos, tech, chemical stocks. The FTSE on the other end is higher. It's up 0.36%, mainly because the mining stocks are showing outperformance. In France, the CAC is only down 0.45%. Luxury stocks are lower, but defense stocks are trading higher as French President Macron announced $6.5 billion in additional military spending. I'm turning our attention over to Asia last night. Asian markets were mixed as President Trump's weekend tariff threat on the EU and Mexico kind of weighed on the sentiment. The Nikkei fell 0.28%. Trade tensions, domestic fiscal issues are kind of weighing on the sentiment there. In Hong Kong, market finished up 0.26. That's a third consecutive gain for the index. And it was really due to the positive economic data out of China. In China, markets were up 0.27%. Exports rose by 5.8% year over year in June. That beat the forecasts and accelerated from May of 4.8% growth. The surge in the front-loading shipments is anticipated mainly due to tariff reasons. Then you're turning our attention over to oil, and oil is showing gains this morning. You got WTI at $69.49 a barrel. You got Brent at $71.36 a barrel. Trump's meeting with NATO, the head of NATO. He's going to be making an announcement on Russia. The announcement is expected, to talk about sanctions on Russia, most likely Russian oil. Not surprised to see oil trading a little higher this morning, and that's what I have for you in terms of a morning market update, Emily.
Bill, it's clear from your opening as we start this week that it's heavy on the political front, obviously tariff news, and as you mentioned, some other announcements we're waiting on from the president. So we will be following all of that type of news throughout the day and throughout the week. The other area that is picking up, you gave us a little preview, was earnings action. You did mention Fastenal. That was your pick of the day Friday. That is an earnings that was released. We will get to that. And of course, some major financial institutions on the docket. So, Bill, give us a rundown of what is going on in terms of earnings action.
Yeah, you got to talk about Fastenal, ticker FAST. It's stock, they beat by a penny, and they did it on higher revenue, which is positive. Stock's trading higher this morning. But, tomorrow morning, we really start off the earnings season because you get Citigroup coming out with earnings. Ticker C, their EPS is $1.62. Expected move is 4.32%. You got Wells Fargo, WFC, their EPS is $1.40. Expected move 4.58%. And JP Morgan, John Paul Michael, their EPS $4.51. Expected move 3.74% when they release tomorrow morning. Emily.
And we'll be following that action using your NewsWare. You have an earnings alert, so you'll be gathering those reports as they come out. You did mention that it is late on the economic front today when it comes to reports, but that highly anticipated inflation report due out tomorrow. And of course, we're continuing to watch any headlines when it comes to tariffs and other political announcements. As you mentioned, crypto week, as it's been dubbed. So, Bill, what is going on in terms of economic events?
Yeah, it's really all about the CPI tomorrow. The data's for June, scheduled to be released tomorrow morning, expected to show an acceleration in inflation. That probably, that could really be concerning for the markets. But we'll have to wait and see what the numbers come out at tomorrow when they're released. But I will say that, Chicago Fed Bank President Austin Goolsbee, he did speak on Friday. He's among the small group of Fed members that were looking to lower interest rates. However, he expressed concerns over the ever-changing tariff policy out of the White House. And he basically said, the more we keep adding things to that mix, it makes it harder to figure out, are prices going to rise or not? It's just throwing more dirt into the air, as he said. So, yeah, that's the, nothing scheduled for today, but tomorrow's a key day for economic reports, Emily.
And as that report comes out tomorrow, again, you'll be one of the first to see it because you have an economic alert set up for those reports. You also have alerts set up for other types of news, data, and information. You're watching different sectors and segments. You follow every morning things like merger news, guidance news, shareholders meetings, buyback news, and catalyst calls. You look at your stocks grouped together like your FANG stocks and your Dow 30 stocks. So, Bill, on this Monday, what else do you see as possibly moving the markets today?
Doing a quick data check. I got 25 stocks lower, 4 higher, and 1 unchanged. I'm looking at my FANG stocks. Well, slight gains in Netflix is flat to higher. Tesla's trading higher. Everything else is off. You look at some of the news behind the tape, like Apple, which is down about 0.75% this morning, about 0.75% this morning. Apparently, there's a big shakeup that's going to occur in their management level. Tim Cook is not leaving, but there is a management shakeup that appears near. Amazon, hey, they came out and they said, hey, this year's Prime Day was a huge success. It was the longest one they've had. So stock's flat to lower this morning. Google, ticker GOOG, they agreed to pay $2.4 billion in a deal to license technology of AI code startup Windsurf, and they're hiring their CEO and some other employees. Meta acquires Play AI, an AI startup focused on voice tech. Turn over to Dow Jones 30 stocks. We're talking Boeing. Hey, the Air India crash is really likely due to pilot error. I mean, the fuel switch. The pilot said, "Hey, why did you turn the fuel switch off?" The other pilot said, "I didn't do it. Somebody turned it off." And because these are not switches that it's not a switch, it's a spring loaded one. You gotta manually work on it in order to kind of get those things to turn on and turn off. So pilot error is really being looked at there. In terms of Apple, they submitted a $150 million a year bid for US streaming rights to F1 races. And that's all I'm really seeing this morning, Emily.
This is the type of data that NewsWare delivers daily. It's factual, it's market moving, and our alerting functions bring it to your attention as it happens. Go to www.newsware.com now and sign up for the trial and see for yourself the benefits that professional Newswire delivers. We've now made it to that time of the show for the Trade Talk pick of the day. Bill, what do you have for us to kick off this week?
Going with Albertsons, ticker ACI, Apple Charlie India. Listen, ACI, their earnings are due out tomorrow morning. Um, and it looks positive. I mean, the fact of the matter is, the EPS is 53 cents. The expected move is 4.42%. Friday's call volume, 508 calls versus 117 puts. Light, but very positive. And then you look at the open interest, 64,000 versus 26,000. Very positive. Major brokers do like the stock. They're raising price targets. For me, I want to get in low, $22 at low $22 area. It might break 22. There's a possibility that could happen in the morning because, we're probably going to have a little weaker opening. So I'm kind of, cautious on that. But I do think Albertson, ticker ACI, will turn higher today. So that's my pick of the day. ACI at around $22 a share this morning, Emily.
Bill, an earnings play today, like your pick of the day on Friday, as we pointed out, looking for that specific entry point. And coming up, we're going to do that recap on Friday's pick of the day to see how your entry point worked out and how that earnings call worked out. But ahead of that, let's take a look at the current breaking headlines that have hit the tape in our hot off the press segment. Bill, take it away.
MicroStrategy, Coinbase, Robinhood, stocks are, being positively helped by this crypto week. But as soon as it ends, there's likely to be weakness there. Deutsche Bank warns of a sharp market reaction if tariff decision surprises. Walmart, some garment orders from Bangladesh are on hold due to tariff costs. European Union and South Korea said they are working on trade deals with the U.S. Trump said that he would soften the blow from looming tariffs as Washington threatens to impose hefty duties from August 1. Mark Zuckerberg of Meta is expected to appear as a star witness in an unusual $8 billion trial that kicks off this week, where the Meta CEO is accused of operating Facebook as an illegal enterprise that allows users' data to be harvested without their consent. Elon Musk says he does not support a merger between electric vehicle maker Tesla and its AI startup XAI. Pure Storage received a sweetened takeover offer from a consortium of companies. AstraZeneca, AZN trading higher, got approval on a key drug. Could be a blockbuster. And NVIDIA CEO will hold a media briefing in Beijing on July 16th. That's in 2 days. That's on Wednesday. That's all I'm saying this morning, Emily.
Okay, Bill, before we dive into trading and yet another week, let's do that check-in on Friday's pick of the day, which was Fastenal. Now, Bill, you did give us a look at the stock during your earnings rundown. They did beat on higher revenue. The company released a Q2 EPS of 29 cents. That was better than the analyst estimate of 28 cents. Revenue for the quarter came in at $2.08 billion, ahead of the consensus estimate of $2.07 billion. Now, Bill, you were looking at this one around a 43 entry point, maybe 43.20. I did see it trading higher after that earnings report. How did your call work out?
It worked out fabulous. I mean, listen, the stock opened up at $43.55, and then it fell under 43. It fell down to $42.97. Remember, I had an entry price 43.10-ish, was where I was looking, and then it rallied, and it hit 44.11 in the aftermarket on Friday. And then you look at it this morning, the stock's trading 45.25. It's already hit a high of 45.56. So either whether it was opening price or my entry price, the 1% was there. So Fastenal was a winner. FAST, winner, winner, winner.
Winner all around on that one. And we will check in with you tomorrow about today's Albertsons pick of the day. Bill, thank you as always for your expert insight. Join us back here tomorrow and each weekday morning this week at NewsWare's Trade Talk when we provide the facts, themes, and trading ideas for the day ahead. Again, I'm your host, Emily Advani, here with trading anchor Bill Olson. Traders, you know what to do. Let's go out there and make some green.